Unahin ko munang itanong, attorney, bakit po kayo nag-aral ng abogasya? Or bakit po kayo nag-lawyer? Ano ba yung ating parang purpose? Ito ba ay pangarap natin, attorney, mula nung tayo ay bata? Gusto ng ating magulang? Or meron tayong purpose na makatulong sa iba? Attorney?
Siguro dati pa um, when I was a child, yung dati ko kasi lawyer. So, ever since parang sinasabi na dapat mag-lawyer din ako. Um, in fact, pati yung older brother ko and sister, they're also lawyers. So, really from the start, when we were growing up, parang palaging sabi ng parents namin is mag-law kami para maging lawyers kami. So, I think doon pa lang, from a young age, really from the parents, from my dad.
Opo, iyon. So, ito, attorney, kayo po ay, ito para alam din ng ating audience, attorney, kayo po, attorney, ay bar top notcher. Tama, attorney, ano po?
Yes, nung 2024 bar. Yes.
Okay, opo. Eto, attorney, mai-share mo po sa amin. Ano ba ang kagandahan, attorney, pagka ano ba ang advantage, attorney, or kagandahan ng profession po ng pagiging abogado, attorney? Attorney Jet.
Siguro like yung advantage ng pagiging abogado is yung at least yung siguro sa mga kontrata, sa mga um, mga problema, at least alam mo yung legal na yung mga butas na pwede mo ipagtakpan. So, I think yung advantage, at least hindi, alam mo na hindi ka take advantage ng mga tao sa mga kontrata. I think that's the biggest advantage kasi I think at least yung batas, yung law. For me, so I think that's the biggest advantage there.
Okay po, yon. So ito, attorney, balikan natin yung mga panahon na kayo'y nag-aaral pa lang ng abogasya. Ano ba para sa inyo, attorney, yung parang pinakamahirap na chapter or yung to bilang isang law student? Ano ba yung mga siguro yung mga bagay na medyo na challenge tayo sa pag-aaral ng abogasya, attorney?
Siguro yung first year, nung first year law school, I think yung pinakamahirap na year. I don't think it's the most difficult subjects sa law school yung first year. I think yung mahirap sa first year law school is yung adjustment period. I think if hindi ka pa sanay sa recitation, kasi yun yung mahirap sa law school is parang everyday kailangan magbasa for recitation ng mga kaso, mga previous Supreme Court cases. Kailangan mo magbasa ng 20 cases per subject. Then, minsan 2 subject or 3 subject per day. So, yun yung mahirap. I think yung sheer number, sa dami ng binabasa, magugulat ka na first year na, ang dami palang babasahin. So, I think it's the adjustment sa first year talaga. Kasi after first year, siguro second year, hindi naman mag-iiba yung workload. Hindi naman mag-iiba yung mga kasong babasahin. In fact, I think mas mahirap pa yung mga third year subjects or second year subjects. Pero I think the most difficult is the first year kasi if hindi ka nagbabasa ng college, ng high school, parang magugulat ka na sobrang daming babasahin tapos kailangan mo pang mag on the spot recite kung ano yung nangyari sa kaso. So, yung magugulat yung mga hindi pa sanay. So I think first year really is the most difficult in that sense.
Oh, okay po, okay po. Kayo po, attorney, personally, ano ba yung mga challenges, kung meron man, na kinaharap natin? Pero na-overcome naman natin at the end of the day, attorney Jeff.
So feel ko yung most difficult challenge, um, I would say is siguro yung bar exam. I think yun yung most difficult. I think for the journey for many lawyers, I think the bar exam is the most difficult. Maybe it's not the studying itself. Maybe it's yung pressure. Kasi yun yung one and only exam na will stop you from becoming a lawyer or not. So, if hindi ka pumasa ng bar exam, hindi ka magiging abogado. So, maybe it's the mental pressure. Maybe it's the number of hours studying. So, at least for me, I think it's uh, so yung time investment na parang you need lots of months of studying. Tapos yun lang yung iniisip mo. So, I think that's the most difficult in that sense. But obviously, it really depends per person kung how difficult it will be. But I think that's in general, I think that's the most difficult in the journey to becoming a lawyer.
Okay po, iyon. So ito, sa puntong ito, attorney, ibibigay ko naman ang spotlight sa akin pong kapartner para po makapagtanong din po sa inyo. Sige, Bombo Kim.
Ayan po, good morning ulit, Attorney Jet, Bombo Kim Ramos po ito, and welcome sa Good Morning Philippines. Attorney, siyempre naging law student tayo and mga ilang years ang pinagdaanan natin bago tayo makagraduate and makatake ng bar. Siyempre, interesado tayo dito, lalo na yung mga law students natin na nakikinig. Ano po kaya, attorney, yung pinaka-paborito o pinakamadali and at the same time, pinakaayaw o pinakamahirap na subject na nadaanan natin sa law school?
Feel ko yung favorite subject ko yung mga hindi parang di for I think maybe many law students will understand yung mga hindi siya quote unquote relevant, yung parang hindi mo talagang magamit um, in your when you're a lawyer, pag abogado ka na, parang hindi mo na magagamit yung mga parang legal theory or legal philosophy. So yung some people might say it is a useless subject or it might be irrelevant. But I think I like legal theory or legal philosophy because it doesn't seem legal. It's more like very philosophical, very maybe less formal, less structured, and it's closer to philosophy. So I was like, maybe that I liked it kasi it was a nice change of topics. So I guess yun yung favorite ko in that sense. And for me, I found maybe because it was a little out of the box, you could sort of speak out your mind. I found it also very like engaging for me. Siguro the most difficult would be, I would say, criminal procedure or civil procedure. So I think remedial law subjects, I mean, for law students, for me, it may not seem intuitive. I mean, hindi siya madaling intindihin. It's because other subjects, for example, I think Oblicon, I mean, at least for me, I found Oblicon a little more understandable. So Oblicon is obligations and contracts. It was relative to remedial law subjects. It's more, I would say, common sense based on what you think is right. But remedial law subjects like criminal procedure, civil procedure are a little more less intuitive because they are man-made rules. So like this doesn't really like it is the way it's 15 days, it is 30 days, it is 45 days because that's what the rules say. Like you have to memorize a lot of these things. So if you don't memorize, if you don't understand those mga periods, mga rules, ano ba dapat gawin, um, it's more difficult. So for me, that's I found it difficult yung mga remedial law subjects because you have to memorize a lot of these things. So it's less common sense. You can rely less on what sort of I guess quote unquote feels right or feels just. Kung kasi if 15 days din naman yun yung like yun yung feeling ng tao eh. So pero if you feel like nagsasabi sa obligations contracts na if hindi sa'yo dapat ibalik mo. I mean that's what the law says, but it's also what feels right. Diba? Bawat tao naman may sense of justice or right or wrong. So in that sense, even if you don't know the rule, if like you sort of have intuition na dapat yun yung gawin. So for me, those types of subjects are easier for me versus yung remedial law subjects na more memorization.
Parang dun sa nakita ko na maaayaw at pinakagustong subject ni attorney, kumbaga yung technicalities of the law versus yung kumbaga yung tumutunggali attorney na kumbaga sa legal theories na nagbibigay nga sa atin ng kumbaga further philosophical understanding of the law. Kasi kumbaga may mga na-encounter tayong case digest na kumbaga makikita mo talaga na na-express ng mga abogado ng mga ponente natin yung attorney yung philosophy nila, yung mind nila sa pamamagitan ng kumbaga penmanship sa certain cases. Pero siguro attorney, balik tayo dito sa ating journey simula po nung maging top notcher tayo sa bar ay paano po kaya tayo napunta sa Korte Suprema bilang isa sa mga court attorney nito? Like ano po ba yung syempre pakapasa natin ng bar, yung mga siguro sa career progression na kumbaga saan ba tayo nag-apply dati o saan tayo kumbaga tumungo muna bago po tayo maging court attorney sa Supreme Court?
So actually when graduating na ako ng law school, I tried applying sa firms. But then siguro one way or another parang I did not push through in any law firm. So I just decided na I'll just study for the bar. But I think many of my classmates, batchmates, nung bago pa sila graduate ng law school, parang nag-side na sila sa mga law firm. Some of them parang, I will join these firms. Tapos may kontrata na sila. Tapos pag graduate nila, pagkapasa ng bar, doon na sila papasok sa law firm na yun. But I think I decided na I'll just mag-aral muna bago pa mag-isip ng law firm or trabaho. Mag-aral muna ng bar and hopefully papasa, which happened. So yun yung priority ko. And then nung pumasa ako ng bar, I guess nung naging top 5, I think that's when certain calls, parang may mga tumawag ng mga tao, nag-message sa Facebook na gusto niyo ba mag-apply sa ganitong firm or ganitong trabaho. And then I guess nung time ng announcement din ng nung bar exam results, parang meron akong friend sa Supreme Court who said na Justice wants to talk to you and invite you to apply in interview. So I guess from then parang I just evaluated my options. Tapos yun yung that's what happened. So I guess in that sense, yung bar exam results helped me decide and siguro also opened mga opportunities for me. I know it's not maybe not for everyone, but at least for me that was what happened. Na I guess more choices and more opportunities appeared. And maybe because I had that interview where I said I was looking for for work. So I guess may mga nakakita ding mga tao. I think because of that actually, I think they said na, oh, I saw your interview with ganito media um, firm. And then they invited me to send my CV or resume and apply. So um, it was also in that sense na um, tulong yung top 5.
Yun, attorney, siguro balik po tayo kasi yun nga, naging successful tayo ngayon. Nasa Korte Suprema tayo ngayon, attorney. So siguro, pahapyawan lang natin, Attorney Jet, ano po ba yung specific, kumbaga, mga na-handle natin o trabaho natin bilang isang court attorney sa Supreme Court na, kumbaga, iba po sa, kumbaga, hinahawakan ng mga ibang types of lawyer natin, sir?
Siguro, it's more of like assisting in researching for the office. So I guess in a different sense, I guess many lawyers that you think of that of what you think lawyers do. Example, nag-appear sa korte, nag-argue before a judge, or if hindi yung litigation lawyer na the draft ng mga pleadings before the court, baka minsan sila yung mga corporate lawyers na puro kontrata yung tinitignan. So in that sense, I don't do any of that what we could maybe call quote-unquote traditional lawyering. So it's more of like the research and assisting. So just a different line of work. But I still get to know many legal problems. But it's more of in an assistive manner. So less more of the you meet clients or you draft contracts or you argue before judges. So in that sense, it's different, a different line of work. But I mean, all the same, similar, you still deal with the law and legal problems.
Ayun, attorney, speaking of since tayo nga po ay andyan na sa Korte Suprema, ano po ba sa tingin niyo yung mga yung mga pinakamagaganda or siguro may unique na kaso na sa mga cases na nadadaanan natin or kumbaga nahahandle natin? Like, baka may mga kakaiba yung facts na dinidetail or baka nakakatawa. May mga ma-share po ba kayo, attorney, na ganun?
Siguro just, I mean, I can't really share a lot of those details. But I guess some interesting things is, there are some cases that already have AI as an issue. So I guess for me it's interesting na I guess nag-evolve talaga yung society, no? Parang AI is already being discussed. And I think recently the Supreme Court had released principles on the usage of artificial intelligence. So for me, interesting yun. I mean, na I guess bumibilis yung development ng technology that even the Supreme Court had to even recognize na, what is the proper use of AI when they released, I think, guidelines ata yesterday or 2 days ago. But yeah, for me, it's interesting na parang bumibilis yung pace ng development, especially since I think that's also a problem in schools, parang they just use AI now to answer their to make essays or to do their homework. So I feel like it's interesting na the court is also responsive in that sense.
Attorney, siguro po yaman din lang na na-mention niyo yung AI. Siguro kunin ko na 'to yung pagkakataon nito bago po tayo mag-proceed sa iba ko pang question. Attorney, ano po ba yung masasabi niyo na kumbaga siguro ay may balita na gagamit daw po ang Office of the Ombudsman ng tama ba Bokir ng ng AI no sa kanilang kumbaga yung function and syempre sa pag-handle ng mga ganitong kaso?
I'm not sure kasi of like what exactly the Office of the Ombudsman, how they use AI. But I feel like at least on the very baseline, if you still have to do your job, and I guess at the very least or at the very minimum, dapat hindi bali yung mga citation or yung mga hindi gawa-gawa. I think kasi sa AI there's something you call hallucination or yung artificial intelligence parang nag-iimbento ng mga facts, nag-iimbento ng mga batas, nag-iimbento ng mga kaso. So yun yung tawag na AI hallucination. Basically kasi gumagawa, nag-iimbento. So, I wouldn't know exactly how the Ombudsman or the Office of the Ombudsman uses artificial intelligence, but I think for any lawyer as a minimum, regardless of it's whether government or private, they should at least double check their work to make sure it doesn't at least have fake laws or fake facts, so that the AI doesn't hallucinate. I think any lawyer owes duty to make sure that tama naman yung ginagawa nila and it's not invented laws or facts.
Ayun, siguro to lighten the siguro attorney, siguro balik tayo dun sa pagiging sa kumbaga speaking of techniques sa pag-handle ng cases or siguro sa pagbasa lang ng mga kaso. Siguro bilang isang law student Jet, siguro sir ay attorney ay ano po ba yung kumbaga technique ninyo sir nung kayo pa nag-aaral as law student, kumbaga na ma-digest ninyo agad itong mga kaso na pinababasa sa inyo sa inyong mga professor, sir?
So, I think yung technique is you need to know yung style ng professor. So, minsan kasi, a lot of times actually, hindi lang minsan, yung professor only sticks to the topic ng syllabus. So, if for example, they don't deviate or hindi sila nag-ask ng questions that's not related to the topic. One way to do it is if you read a case, it might be 15 pages, 20 pages, pero may specific topic lang na nasa syllabus na nandun yung kaso na yun, and the professor doesn't ask anything else aside from that topic. I guess yung advice ko dun is you have to read smart, you have to read strategically. So if, you need to know na ano yung issue na kailangan mo i-spot. So bago mo pa babasahin yung kaso, you already have a goal in mind and is to isolate ano ba yung importanteng mga facts, ano yung importanteng sinabi na Supreme Court in relation to the topic na i-discuss ng prof. So I think that's my advice. So it sort of lessens your time. You're able to issue spot from the start, at least, or helps you issue spot kasi at least alam mo na yung direction na babasahin mo. So for me, it reduces lots of unnecessary effort in that sense. Yun yung advice ko actually in reading is try to narrow down what you can. If you read everything and try to remember everything that might not be useful for the class, then I guess, ma-overwhelm ka talaga kasi you need to read 20 cases or thereabouts with multiple subjects. So baka ma-overwhelm ka if you're not reading smart or studying smart.
Okay po. Ito balik sa akin, Attorney Jet. Ano po? Siguro bago tayo matapos, Attorney, dahil kukulangin na tayo sa time. Ano na lang, Attorney, yung ating sigurong tawag nito, maibibigay na piece of advice din sa mga nangangarap po na maging abogado rin someday, Attorney Jet.
Siguro my advice for people who want to become a lawyer is to make sure that your heart is in it. I think yung pagiging abogado, or at least actually not even becoming a lawyer, even being a law student, is difficult. I would say, at least for me, as of now, I think the law school is still more difficult. Maybe because everything is trying to prepare you for the real world, becoming a lawyer. But that's where you read the most. I mean, you still read. I'm sure you'll still read more when you're a lawyer. But in that amount of time, different subjects, different topics, tapos every week may bagong babasahin, it is difficult. So I think you need to have your heart in it, and hopefully if you pass, if you go through law school, I think that's the barring the bar exam, which you need to pass. I think that's the most difficult, period in your journey becoming a lawyer. So if you have your heart in it and you survive law school, I think yun na yung you're pretty much, more than halfway there. If you dream to become a lawyer, yun na lang. Yung law school na lang talaga and the bar exam. So I think if you want to become a lawyer, yeah, your heart has to be in it. Law school pa lang.